Hi guys, in this video we'll be looking at AC/DC's Back in Black. Now I'm sure you know what it sounds like, but if not, here's a refresher. Okay guys, hello and welcome to this Back in Black guitar lesson. I'm Thomas, and in this video we'll be looking at all the rhythm parts to the song. What we'll do is rhythm in one video and solo in the next, because it's a little bit tricky, there's a bit of detail in there and I want to go through it in enough time that I can get through all of it. So before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you've enjoyed this lesson and want to see more, please click the link below to take you to our website where we've got endless amounts of material for guitar and different guitar songs, and it's all for free, so please check that out. Alright, let's get started. What an iconic riff. It's one of the all-time greatest rock riffs, and Angus Young I don't think gets enough recognition as a great rock guitar player. So today we'll be looking at Malcolm Young's playing in this, and in the next lesson it'll be Angus Young's playing. So we're in the key of E major-ish. It's power chords, it's hard to say. It's most like in an E major. It sounds like that's where it sits more so than the E minor. So the first thing we're going to play is, you can hear on the track, is just these mutes. If you want to get really down and dirty with the detail, those mutes are in the start, and all you do is mute the strings on your left hand. So I'm not actually pushing down any at all. I've just got my fingers resting on the strings, and then on the right hand just strike those. So that's nice and easy, not particularly important detail. So the first chord is an E power chord. So the way I'm doing that is second finger in the second fret of the A string, third finger on the second fret of the D string, and then I'm plucking the E, A and D string, and you gotta whack it. That's how you get that big sound. So the guitar is a very responsive instrument, and even though you might have a lot of gain on it, you can get a different sound by playing very lightly or playing very heavily. So smack it and you get a big growl. And then the second is a D power chord. So that is going to be D string open, first finger on the second fret of the G string, and third finger on the third fret of the B string. And then we're going to play just those three strings again. So you might find it's a little bit tricky to get the high E string muted. So what I'm going to do is have my third finger slightly overhanging that on that high E string. Maybe you can see it there. I'm not coming really in with a fingertip like that. I'm being a bit lazy. And now if I play the E string, you can hear it's muted. That's how you can keep that from ringing out. And then you just need a bit of accuracy on your right hand to stop from hitting the A string. So that's E, and then a D, and it's a 1, 2, 3. So down, up, down. Get that motion. And you want to mute it straight after. So it's E, then a mute with your right hand. So all I'm doing is striking it and then chopping the strings. Same on the D string, or on the D chord. And our next chord is an A power chord. So that's open A string, second on the D string, and then second on the G string. You can do that either with your first finger or two fingers, whichever you like. Just be careful if you're doing with your second finger to be able to mute the G string, sorry, the B string. See, it's quite tricky there. Mute both the B string and the E string. think it's certainly easier to mute it with 2 fingers anyway. Alright, once you've got that, nice and slow, then comes the first little lick, which is just a nice little pentatonic scale. This is AC/DC's favorite, it's a minor pentatonic. So 3rd fret of the B string, sorry, 3rd fret of the E string, pull off to open E string, 3rd fret of the B string, pull off, and then 2nd fret of the G string, a little half bend, so it's not all the way up to there. It's a blues bend, so you're going to do a half bend, down, off with a pull off, and then 2nd fret of the E string will be the voice, but you're actually going straight into that power chord. So you can hear the melody actually resolves with the top note of that E string, so it's kind of mixing rhythm and lead. So I'll play that slowly. Well, I'll play that again. And a little bit slower. So it's quite an easy little lick once you get the hammer-ons and the pull-offs going, but playing at that speed is not the easiest. Just try and get that fluidity in your left hand. If you can do that, that's a great little exercise if you find that you're struggling with it. Alright, so then the second time, this riff is kind of, the riff stays the same, but the licks on either side of it change every other time. So there's basically a 2-part riff. So we go back into the same thing, and now we get to the second lick, and it's this strange little thing. So it is a 2nd on the A string, to the 4th on the E, back to the A string, 2nd fret, then to the 5th on the E, and then 2nd fret A string, and then 6th of the E, and then 2nd fret A string, and 7th of the E. So it's like this walk up to the same note, and then you slide it down on that last. So this is a real big stretch. There's a lot of people, a lot of these out there will find this tough, and it really just comes from being able to stretch your hand out nicely across the guitar neck. Really strange, it's a cool lick, really strange. There's not much really to say about that, just try and do as much of it with a stretch as you can, and then if you need to jump a little bit on those last 2 notes, that's okay, but the more you do this, the more you'll stretch out and it'll be easier for you. The speed is a little bit tricky here on this song in general. There's a lot of, cool little licks, but when they're sped up to the full speed of the song, they're a little bit tricky. So I'll play the whole verse now. And just around again. So I'll play it a little bit slower and see if you can play along. Okay, so that is the riff that makes up the verse. And now we move on to the chorus, I guess. It's a bit of a tricky one. I suppose it's the chorus, although it's not the most iconic part of the song. And we start with an A power chord, same one as before, so just the same one that was in that riff. Moving to an E power chord. So the way to do that movement easily with one finger is a finger roll. So if you've got your finger flat, if you're using one finger, you'll have it on the 2nd fret of the D and the G string for the A power chord. And then for the E power chord, you just roll it over, so now you're on the on the A and the D string. So I'll bring this close. It's just that motion, okay? And then if you're using 2 fingers, you just gotta jump them. Alright, now the third chord there in that sequence is a B power chord. So 2nd fret of the A string, 4th fret of the D string, 4th fret of the G string. So it's this very popular power chord shape. And again, those on their own aren't very hard, but when you have to play them back to back really quickly, it begins to get a bit tricky with your chord movements. So take that practice and just slow it down to where you can play it. And once you're happy and comfortable and can repeat it consistently, start to speed it up a little bit at a time. Even if it's like that, that's a great place to start. If you can get the chords ringing out accurately, then you can start to move the speed up. And at the end of that, you do this little thing. So when you're on the B power chord, that last one, you just play an open A string and then back to your B power chord. So, alright, nice and simple. Then you repeat it. So that basically happens twice. And after the second time, you move to a G power chord. So the way they're doing this is, you can tell this is quite the same shape as the power chord, but a power chord is essentially just the intervals of the root and the fifth. Doesn't matter how many times those 2 intervals come up, as long as it's just those 2 intervals within the chord. So this is just G, which is 1, D, which is 5, G, D. So just 1 and 5 over and over again. So it's still a power chord, and it's actually got a nice more ringing open sound to it now because we're using open strings. So we jump to this. That's 3rd fret of the E string with my 2nd finger, and then 3rd fret of the B string with my 3rd finger. Okay, and then after that it's a D power chord, same one as in the opening riff, same shape. It's quite an easy change. What you're doing is lifting your 2nd finger off and putting your 1st finger down on the 2nd fret of the G string. And it should be easy because it's quite fast. Then back to an A power chord. So for that, I'm definitely playing with just 1 finger, just my 1st. And the way I'm doing that from a D, if I bring this close, see, I'm actually lifting my 1st finger off very quickly to reposition it to get both of those. You could do it with 1st and 2nd also, just whichever is easiest for you and whichever you can get that accurate sound. You only want those notes ringing out, nothing else. Okay, and like the first time, those 3 chords repeat. So you go G, D, A, and then again, G, but, sorry, I forgot to mention, once you get to the A, you do this little, so your 2nd finger, whilst you're holding the A chord, your 2nd finger comes to the 3rd fret of the E string, you pluck it and do a little quarter bend. So you get this little bluesy sound. And after that, it's just back to the 1st chorus riff, so the A, E, B, twice. Okay, so let's play up to this point so far. I'll play it nice and slow, see if you can play along. So starting with the A, E, and B twice.